The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home, the wipers of my Ford struggling to keep up. I was exhausted. Another long day at the architectural firm, but I was also excited. Today was our anniversary, 11 years with Rosalie, and I had a surprise planned. I pulled into the driveway of our house in Charlotte, North Carolina, a beautiful Victorian wed painstakingly renovated together. The lights were on inside, and I could hear music playing softly. Rosalie always made an effort to create a warm, inviting atmosphere. I smiled, feeling a surge of love for her. I killed the engine and grabbed the small velvet box from the glove compartment. Inside was a diamond pendant it had custom-made, a replica of the one her grandmother had worn. I knew she'd adore it. As I reached the front door, I could hear voices. Rosalie's definitely, but also a man's. I frowned. We weren't expecting anyone. Maybe it was a repairman. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The scene that greeted me was like a punch to the gut. Rosalie was in the living room, wrapped in the arms of a man I vaguely recognized. They were kissing, passionately, oblivious to everything else. The man pulled away, startled. It was Quentin, one of the partners at Rosalie's law firm. He looked ashen. Rosalie's face was a mix of shock and guilt. "Gareth," she whispered, her voice trembling. I couldn't speak. I just stood there, the velvet box clutched in my hand, the rain plastering my hair to my forehead. "Gareth, it's not what it looks like," Rosalie stammered, but her words were hollow, "really. Because it looks exactly like my wife is making out with another man in my living room," I said, my voice dangerously low. Quentin cleared his throat. "Gareth, I am so sorry. This was a mistake." "A mistake," I repeated, my eyes fixed on Rosalie. 11 years, Rosalie. 11 years. Was that a mistake too? She started to cry. "No, Gareth, of course not. I love you. This just happened. It just happened." I laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. "You don't just accidentally end up in someone's arms, Rosalie. You make a choice." I tossed the velvet box onto the coffee table. It landed with a soft thud. "Happy anniversary," I said, then turned and walked out of the house, the rain washing away the tears that were now streaming down my face. I drove aimlessly for hours, the shock slowly giving way to a burning rage. How could she do this to me, to us? We had built a life together, a beautiful life, or so I thought. I ended up at a dive bar on the outskirts of town, a place I'd never normally go. I ordered a whiskey neat and downed it in one gulp. Then another. And another. The bartender, a woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude, watched me with concern. "Rough night?" she asked. I nodded, unable to speak. I didn't want to burden a stranger with my pain, but the whiskey was loosening my tongue. "Wife cheated," I mumbled. She sighed, wiping down the counter. "Happens more than you think. They always say it's a mistake, but it's never just one mistake, is it?" I shook my head. "No, it's a pattern of lies, of betrayal." "Exactly," she said. "So what are you going to do about it?" I hadn't thought that far ahead. I was still reeling from the initial shock. "I don't know," I admitted. I can't believe she did this." "Well, you can't stay here drowning your sorrows forever," the bartender said. "You gotta pick yourself up and figure out what you want. Revenge, forgiveness, a clean break, it's all up to you." Her words resonated with me. I couldn't stay stuck in this moment of pain and disbelief. I had to do something. But what? I spent the next few days in a daze, barely eating or sleeping. I stayed at a cheap motel, unable to face going back to the house we shared. I called in sick to work, telling my boss I had the flu. Rosalie called me constantly, leaving tearful messages on my voicemail. She begged me to talk to her, to give her a chance to explain, but I couldn't. I wasn't ready. Finally, on the third day, I decided I couldn't avoid her any longer. I needed answers. I needed to understand why. I drove back to the house, my heart pounding in my chest. It felt strange, like I was visiting a place that was no longer mine. Rosalie was waiting for me, her eyes red and swollen. She rushed to me as soon as I walked in the door, throwing her arms around me. "Gareth, I am so sorry," she sobbed. "I never meant to hurt you. It happened so fast." I pulled away from her, my face grim. "Tell me everything, Rosalie. I want to know why." She led me to the living room, where the velvet box still sat on the coffee table. We sat down on the sofa, a wide expanse of space between us. Rosalie took a deep breath. "Quentin and we've been working closely together on a big case for months. We've been spending long hours at the office, traveling together. We connected, I repeated, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Is that what you call it? No, it was wrong, she said quickly. I know that. I never should have let it happen, but it did, and I am so sorry. How long has this been going on? I asked. She hesitated. A few weeks, she admitted. A few weeks. That meant she had been lying to me, deceiving me for weeks. The pain was like a knife twisting in my gut. And Quentin, I asked, is he in love with you? She looked down, avoiding my gaze. I don't know, she said softly. He said he had feelings for me. And what about you, Rosalie? Do you have feelings for him? She finally looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. No, Gareth, I love you. I've always loved you. Quentin was just a distraction, a mistake. I didn't know what to believe. Part of me wanted to believe her, to forgive her and move on. But another part of me was screaming, warning me that she was lying, that she would do it again. I need time, Rosalie, I said, standing up. I need time to think about everything. Where are you going? She asked, her voice laced with panic. I don't know, I said. But I can't stay here, not now. I left the house again, feeling even more lost and confused than before. I drove to a nearby park and sat on a bench, watching the rain fall on the trees. I thought about our life together, the good times and the bad. We had been through so much, overcome so many obstacles. Was it all a lie? Was our love not strong enough to withstand this one mistake? As I sat there, lost in my thoughts, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello, I answered cautiously. Is this Gareth? A woman's voice asked. Yes, who is this? My name is Mireille. I'm Quentin's wife. I felt a jolt of surprise. Quentin's wife. What do you want? I know about the affair, she said, her voice tight with anger. Quentin told me everything, and you're calling me. Why? I asked, confused. Because I think we need to talk, she said. I think we can help each other. We met the next day at a small coffee shop in town. Mireille was a striking woman with fiery red hair and piercing green eyes. She looked like she could tear Quentin apart with her bare hands. Thank you for meeting me, I said. I'm glad you agreed, she said. I've been wanting to talk to you ever since Quentin confessed. I can't believe he would do this to me, to us. I know how you feel, I said. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Quentin is a snake, Mireille said, her voice filled with venom. He's always been ambitious, ruthless, but I never thought he would stoop this low. What do you mean? I asked. Quentin has been using his position at the firm to engage in some shady dealings, she said. He's been taking kickbacks, falsifying documents. It's all very illegal. I stared at her in disbelief. Are you serious? Absolutely, she said. I have proof, documents, emails, everything, and you're telling me this. Why? I asked. Because I want to expose him, she said. I want to make him pay for what he's done to us. I thought about Rosalie, about her betrayal, about the pain she had caused me. And I thought about Quentin, about his arrogance, his deceit. Maybe Mireille was right. Maybe they both deserve to pay. What do you want me to do? I asked. Mireille smiled, a cold, calculating smile. I have a plan, she said, and you're going to help me carry it out. Mireille's plan was elaborate and risky, but it was also brilliant. She had been secretly gathering evidence of Quentin's illegal activities for months, waiting for the right moment to strike. Now, with my help, she was ready to take him down. We spent weeks working together, meticulously planning our every move. We contacted a journalist, a friend of Mireille's, who agreed to publish the story once we had all the evidence in place. We also alerted the authorities, providing them with a detailed account of Quentin's crimes. As we worked together, I found myself drawn to Mireille. She was strong, intelligent, and fiercely independent. She had been hurt just as deeply as I had, but she refused to let it break her. She was determined to fight back, to seek justice. I also started to see Rosalie in a new light. I realized that she had been blinded by Quentin's charm and ambition, that she had been manipulated into making a terrible mistake. I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I was starting to understand her. The day we finally exposed Quentin, the city was in an uproar. The journalist published his story, and the authorities raided Quentin's office, seizing all of his documents and computers. Quentin was arrested and charged with multiple felonies. Rosalie was devastated. She lost her job at the firm and her reputation was ruined. She begged me to forgive her, to give her another chance, but I couldn't. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I filed for divorce and we split up our assets. It was a painful and messy process, but it was necessary. I needed to move on, to start a new chapter in my life. As for Mireille, she divorced Quentin and moved to a new city. We stayed in touch, supporting each other through the aftermath of the scandal. We had both been betrayed, but we had emerged stronger and more resilient. One day, Mireille called me and asked me to visit her. I hesitated at first, unsure of what to expect, but I knew that I needed to see her to thank her for everything she had done. I flew to her city and we spent the weekend together. We talked for hours, sharing our hopes and dreams for the future. We laughed, we cried, and we realized that we had something special, something that had grown out of the ashes of betrayal. We started dating, and after a year I asked her to marry me. She said yes. I never thought I would find love again after Rosalie's betrayal. But Mireille showed me that it was possible, that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a new beginning. Rosalie eventually moved away, seeking a fresh start. I heard through mutual friends that she was doing well, working at a small firm and focusing on rebuilding her life. I never saw her again. I learned a valuable lesson from this experience. I learned that love is not always enough, that trust is fragile, and that betrayal can leave scars that never fully heal. But I also learned that forgiveness is possible, that resilience is essential, and that even after the worst heartbreak, there is always the possibility of finding happiness again. I am now happily married to Mireille, and we have built a beautiful life together. We are both grateful for the lessons we have learned, and we are committed to cherishing and protecting the love that we have found. And sometimes, late at night, when the rain is falling and the memories come flooding back, I think about Rosalie. I wonder if she ever regrets her choices, if she ever thinks about what might have been. And I hope, for her sake, that she has found peace. That's my story. A story of betrayal, revenge, and ultimately redemption. A story that taught me the true meaning of love and the importance of forgiveness. Remember, even in the face of the worst betrayals, you have the power to rebuild your life and find happiness again. Don't let the pain define you. Let it guide you towards a brighter future.